I know you're long overdue for the cocktail reception, and I promise you it is not far away. But we do want to bring together briefly each of the workshop leaders that from the workshops that we just held, so that we can share some learning. So if I can ask each of the workshop leaders to make their way back to the stage, we'll do a quick round with each, not long, just a quick wrap up of key takeaways and learnings. And if I can ask my team to bring me 1 or 2 handheld microphones already on the way. Sasha, always thinking ahead. Thank you very much. So we've got Simon. So if I can ask John and Michael from Workshop A. And we're also looking for Suresh from Infineon. And Professor Tobias Ingel from the University of Applied Science. If you can start there as John, making his way. So in the interest of time, I think we'll jump right into it. Otherwise, the audience will start to revolt against holding back refreshments. So let's start with Workshop A. John, I think maybe you want to share. So just a quick some overview. What are some of the key? Tell us a little bit about the composition of your group. Tell us about the key takeaways, the key discussion points and takeaways from AI in supply chain and logistics.
Perfect. I have them here, so I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can even jump down here.
Down the stairs. Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so because I have them here, so it's way easier. So my name is John. So I already introduced myself in the presentation for Mercedes-Benz. Again, thank you very much for having me here. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. We had a really great conversation in the AI topic. We actually had a really nice game in which we agreed to call AI egg, just as a catchy, so that everyone to remember, right? Because we're always using AI so many times. I don't know. There are a couple of YouTube videos, and you see how many times AI is used, right, in different presentations, and it's so crazy. But just to sum it up pretty quickly, the steps, we talk about different challenges. We try to find common understanding in which challenges we have right now in OEMs, Tier 1, Tier 2s, and Tier Ns, right? And we found so many common things that we're having. Problems, lack of data, lack of standardization, data silos, lack of structure of data, lack of data governance. And then we together came up with a couple of next steps that we think would help us on leveraging AI in the next step. And here are the list them out. So first of all, challenged team on the use cases. And it's definitely super important that we always think about the business value behind it. That we're just not doing AI just because of the sake of it, but we're actually understanding what's the value which is bringing it behind it. Is it actually solving a problem, or is this just because of a hype? Finding sponsors is really important. Also, expectation management, to be clear, hey, we need time actually to develop things. So as I showed also in the research that we did at Mercedes, we started small, and then over the years we were improving our forecasting system for inbound logistics over and over and over, different iterations, talking to the business, improving the system as such, data quality, and so on and so forth. But we need the sponsors. We need the time. Start on knowing successful use cases. Also, start small, because there are a couple of questions saying, what happens if I don't have the data in my company? If I don't have historical data, what would I do? Then there are definitely tools you can also use to tackle that. But let's start small. Let's start maybe with known use cases which other OEMs or other companies have already done. Finally, just to sum it up, all the topics of data around it, which is super important. You need to govern your data. You need to have a clear structure who is responsible for your data within your company, so that you can have data-driven processes. So data sharing. Avoid that your teams, if they are located in different regions, are doing the work over and over again. If you can have a clear governance framework, then you make sure that actually your data is created once, cleaned once, and then consumed for everyone. And finally, democratization of AI, and involve the business. And I really made a lot of focus on this because this is one of the key factors that we also had at Mercedes when it comes to AI. You need to talk to your business. Your business people are the ones actually making the machine moving. AI is just an enabler. It is just an enabler. So that understanding has to be right. So talk to your people. Also give your people the opportunity to come out of the business to do this meta-analysis to understand, okay, what am I doing? Okay, does it make sense, the process, the way it is? And then let them also talk to the experts so that at the end, the solution is business-driven, value-driven, and helps everyone in the company. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Sounds like a very, very productive workshop. You've collected enough eggs for your Easter basket, it sounds like, as well, in time for the next one that we do. But thank you very much for sharing that, John. I'm going to turn next to Simon Inskip from JLR, whose workshop was mapping the tier-end supply chain. So I think we got through, 7 tiers within an hour?
Yeah, smashed it. Thanks. So yeah, if AI is all about data, well, certainly supply chain mapping is massively about data. It's about the acquisition of data. So we had a really good workshop. Thanks everyone for your participation if you were in it. We spoke around 3 kind of key themes that, let's say, are relevant for supply chain mapping. But also we had a level set on what does everyone mean by supply chain mapping? Does my standard, my ambition as an OEM match yours as a supplier? So we had lots of suppliers in the room with us, which was great, certainly from my perspective, to hear what impact supply chain mapping and the use cases that drive it cause on the supply base. But then we got into the 3 kind of key areas that I wanted to explore with the group, which was firstly around data, which took up the lion's share of the discussion. You know, you've got it, I want it, was basically the gist of the discussion. So how do we get that data in a way that everyone's kind of comfortable with it? When I ask you for a piece of data, do you know what I mean? Are you willing to share it? If you share it, do I trust that you've given me accurate data? How often are you willing to update it for? All of those discussions we had, we didn't reach a clear way forward on it. I think it's hoped that, you know, solutions like Katina X can be an aid to those discussions and bring that impartiality. Within the group, we had only 2 Katina X members and no one actively. Actually, we had one use case where some data was retrieved from Katina X. That was the most tangible example within the group. So that was a really interesting insight. Then we took it on from there and said, okay, well, what's the technology you need once you've got the data? Because then if I have a load of data and it's a huge data set, in JLR alone, we've mapped to 180,000 points of our supply chain. If I want to do something meaningful with that, I need some different technology than perhaps a couple of spreadsheets. So we explored a little bit around what the technology solutions are and how they would retrieve and support the retrieving of that data. And then we spent the last 10 minutes talking about what the change of that, change impact of this supply chain mapping use case is, and looked at, well, who actually holds the power in here? Because, you know, ultimately it's legislation led, and if people aren't willing to come to the table to share that data, that it won't move forward. So we spoke then, which took us into our kind of next steps of way forward. I think the group felt the discussion that we had itself was a very useful one in terms of understanding, removing some of the ambiguities, understanding what all of the parties' concerns are and what they are capable and not capable of doing. Moving that forward into creating some alignment. So what are the goals, methods and standards that we all subscribe to? I think this is very much in the vein of Katina X. And then doing some piloting, so actually doing some meaningful sharing of data on a specific but large enough scale so that you get the learnings from it that can be shared. Then we looked into a little bit of, okay, once I've done that, how do I refine from that and scale it? And then finally, where we ran out of time, was, well, actually, this is such a huge topic with such a huge amount of stakeholders. Everyone can't have a voice in that process. If Katina X and other forms like it need to work, there needs to be some leadership from there that we subscribe to, and some standards that are set. And then ultimately, we need leaders, but we also need followers, people who will subscribe to that and then participate in good faith with it. It's a huge trust and change exercise. So that was it, from a supply chain mapping point of view.
Thank you so much, Simon. Fantastic, thank you. get a sense of just the scale of work JLR has been doing there, and obviously lots of useful feedback in that workshop. We'll make sure we pass some of that back to Frank at Audi, and Eric is also from Galea, so I'm sure we can work with Container X. But I'd like to next pass on to Shuris Nakai from Infineon. Your workshop was on using digitalization for sustainability in supply chain. Tell us about what you discussed.
Yeah, correct. Let me give you a bit of insight of what we discussed. It took a interesting path. We started discussing what is digitalization and what is sustainability. And I thought the discussion would go a little bit into the technologies of how we can actually go towards better sustainability. But it actually took a turn into why we're not doing this because of data security. So I think the sustainability is one of the topics that the whole industry or a whole automotive industry would be cooperating together to improve the sustainability. And that was the question when we were talking about a CO2 reduction and how the collaboration on that one can reduce the CO2. It came always to the point, how do we exchange data there? So I know what I do in my factory, I know what I do in my office, but I don't know how much exactly CO2 the other party was doing on his part to give it to me. And there's lots of reasons why that could not happen, because the trust, or what would happen with the data, or where is it stored, and what kind of agreement will be done upon. I think we discussed also previously to that with an Catena X example, how that one, for example, the ideas of how this platform would be contributing to that. But I think apart from the digitalization technology that we use, I think sustainability topics, the trust, the regulatory framework, that was one of the key topics that we discussed there. And it also came to an interesting point, regulatory framework. So how much is the obligation to disclose information on that one? So if it's basically just an annual report to tell about the CO2, or is it really the obligation that the whole value chain exchange information with each other and know what a product from cradle to gate or grave is actually creating on CO2, but also other topics, waste, material, or any other sustainability matter. So I guess for us, the outcome was quite a few holistic topics that I cannot put a time frame on that one, but the part on the data security was one of the points that was mentioned. All the data, for example, is stored in Europe. So there was a point that, okay, if it's in a China landscape, or if in a US landscape, there are a lot of regional data storage topics there, but if it comes to the Europe, this is one of the missing infrastructures that will be hindering the trust to actually store the data and exchange the data of sustainability among the players. Last point was getting knowledge or insight of how this sustainability within the employees actually in this industry can put to place. Simple examples came up, but for example, email attachments. I mean, we do tons of emails with 20 meg or 30 megabytes of attachments, and these also are topics that consume data, consume electricity, and in the end also CO2 footprint. Just as a simple example, but this is also the topic that sustainability also happens on the ground, which on the training on the employees or also on the staff will also have a contribution to that one. But this is just was a soft touch that we also discussed that one. I guess, yeah, with those topics is something that we'll hold on, but yeah, I will just emphasize it again on the data security topic that we discussed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sebastian. As you say, a very interesting turn that a discussion on sustainability really turned towards data security and the data storage side of it. Maybe as we think it through, we shouldn't be surprised, but I think it's a very interesting output from that. So thank you for sharing. Our last workshop, you might have seen people were around. Oh, yeah, you can take that one, that's fine. If you want to hold it as well, in case you wanted to see with some cool VR glasses on a bit. So tell us a bit more about building a digital supply chain twin and what you talked about in the workshop.
Yeah, thank you very much also for the opportunity to present our digital twin, but perhaps an answer on collaboration and sustainability. I was writing my PhD thesis about collaboration and sharing data. Closely before I was submitting my thesis, I was talking to a senior researcher, and he told me, because I told him I still didn't get enough data, he told me, don't worry, the collaboration issue will continue for the next 100 years. It's a human business. We don't trust others. It's very difficult. Yes, it is in that sense regarding sustainability, but it's also not an excuse. We, for example, developed a solution which makes your network transparent. We are capable of kind of like discovering a complete network of whatever you wanted. Along a coffee machine, we were trying the batteries for electrical cars, and now we have all the suppliers included into our digital supply chain twin, which you can see at the end of the room and which you can also test out. Now coming to the workshop. We first were starting from what is a digital twin for us, and then going a step back, because the digital twin belongs to the industrial metaverse. So the digital twin is part of it. We were a little bit talking about the functionalities, and the main functionalities of an industrial metaverse, which you can see at BMW, kind of like is somehow if they are able to simulate what is going on, they're able to plan what's going on, and then while operations are going on, they can control and monitor the different processes. We were also talking a little bit about security, while we're not going too deep into it, but however, it's very important in an industrial metaverse, in the digital twin, because if I'm now switching on the Apple Vision Pro and I'm switching off your paint shop in China, this will be a big issue. So also security is a part or big part of an industrial metaverse, but kind of like what we could see, it will be there in the future. And we had kind of like a diverse people committing to the workshop from, they had no clue what a digital twin is, towards like experienced users who already have a digital twin in place, which is also somehow connected to an ERP system. Anyhow, I think kind of like it was interesting for them to see that even in a digital twin, it's possible to collaborate. It is like as it is for our kids. They switch on classes and they are in a multiplayer game. So you can give Apple classes at this time, at least, to your supplier and tell your supplier, hey, there's a problem with your delivery. Switch it on and help me, and then you stand all around at the same time around the globe, and you can see where your transport is currently having problems. You can see if this is a ship, if this is a plane, what is going on. Is it a hurricane? Is it a tornado? If it is a traffic jam, do you lost a container, whatever. So this is what our digital twins are capable. The industrial metaverse. You're somehow able to manage the real world. And it is the same as with the scope 1 and 2 emissions. You normally start within your firm, as you have all, hopefully, not all firms, but you have your data under control. You have hopefully good master data management, a central data storage, and you can use the data. This is why, for example, also BMW started internally with their own industrial metaverse. But now we are going again further towards the global supply chain, and you have a lot of options with the digital twins. You can ensure your supply kind of like from your supplier. You can see if there are kind of like environmental issues coming up. You can measure the emissions of the transports. You can use it for service. You just switch on your classes and you see where is your product. So you have an answer to your customer, providing a better service to your customer. Yeah? So I think there's a lot of options with the digital twins, and we're still at the beginning of that journey, and we will see where we're all going to it. And I think it's also what was kind of like an nice and interesting, or the most interesting question, the feedback I got was that it was inspiring, and I hope this is what we could do in the workshop to inspire you as customers, for us as workshop leaders, to find out new topics and get new insights. And I want to say thank you to all the participants of the workshops, and I would like to welcome you to experience again the digital twins. We have two of them, an internal digital twin and the global supply chain twin. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks very much. And as you mentioned, I think the digital twin is still out in our expo area. So when you enjoy the cocktail reception and visit our sponsors, you can also check that out. Thanks to all of our workshop leaders. Really appreciate you leading these discussions. Hopefully you got out as much as you put in as well, because that's obviously very much the idea. Some of you will be back on stage tomorrow, Simon and John, or your colleagues who are joining us, but obviously hope you'll join the rest of the event. So thanks again very much. And now, again, you've waited long enough, so I need to make you wait a couple of minutes longer, but we are soon going to break to our networking session. But just a few points about the conference and today. So first of all, when we go to our networking, I encourage you to visit our sponsor booths and talk to our sponsors. If you want to find out more about things they have to offer, as well as some giveaways, you have a QR code here, and there's a virtual delegate bag. In terms of sustainability, we try not to produce more products, but here you can still have some takeaways from our sponsors in a virtual delegate bag. So scan that and check it out. You can also do that afterwards. For those, I hope more of you will join us tomorrow, and I'm going to show you shortly reasons why you should. But whether you're not joining or whether you're continuing to join, do leave us your feedback at some point. This is the second iteration of this event. It's part of a series now in North America. It's part of a series of coverage that we're doing. So everything you tell us will feed in the topics that we cover, the areas we go deeper, the types of speakers, etc. So please do take some time to feedback along the way. Really briefly, you can start planning your calendar, by the way, for 2025. I'm sure you have, but don't forget the next chance you get here with us in Germany and in Europe is in Bonn at our supply chain, Automotive Logistics Supply Chain Europe conference. That's our flagship here. So we'll be taking further digitalization topics, but also talking about many, many other points across the supply chain. And on that, across the year, I hope you'll think about tuning in online as well. We have a program of live streams and broadcasts that we'll be bringing to you on various topics, including things like AI and data strategy. So we've already have dates mapped out for that. More about this program coming at you on our website. You'll be able to register and join. If you're interested in participating or speaking, do let us know. We're always open to collaborate with you. A little bit of tomorrow. I won't go into detail of this, but you can see plenty of reasons why you should join us all day long, right in the morning with a keynote from Volkswagen Group and from JLR, talking across transparency and digital strategies and transformation. We'll be talking about that in detail. You'll hear more throughout the day, including from Toyota and many more, including some of the workshop leaders you just had. So hope you'll join us right in the morning. We're starting with coffee and networking from 8. We'll be on stage right in the morning and then right through the afternoon. And we have networking at the end of that day tomorrow as well. So hopefully you'll stick around all day. We really look forward to that. You can find out more on our app. And for now, I think, this is what our first session is, by the way, tomorrow morning. Hi, Paulina. It'll be good to see you there too. Join us there tomorrow at 9 for that. But for now, please step outside, enjoy some drinks and snacks, and connect logistics and digital leaders together. It's been a pleasure having you here. Looking forward to taking it forward tonight and tomorrow. Thank you.